Welcome to episode 3 of the Knights of the Glass Table podcast.
We've made a third one?
Yeah, this is a third one.
Oh, jeez, it's a trilogy.
Alright, well, let me welcome my 3 guests as usual. We have Noah.
Hi there.
We have Lucky.
What's up?
And we have the apparent fan favorite, Rob Partha.
Hey, Ralph.
Lucky.
Yep. So,
Lucky?
Bogart.
Pure skill.
So for the third time now,
Pure skill, my ass.
me and my...
And who are you?
Sometime? Well, obviously I'm Crash Dimwitted Football Wizard.
Uh-huh.
So,
for those tuning in for the third episode and has skipped over episode 1 and 2, that way they know your voice.
fair enough. So, for the third time, me and my fine comrades, and sometimes honorable, are...
Oh, that's cute. You think we're honorable.
Didn't call you gentlemen. Calm down.
Who came in?
We're gonna, humorous, informational, whatever it may be.
Yes.
It's entertainment.
Yes, it is very humorous and very serious business on reporting on role-playing games whatsoever. We totally take our stuff very seriously in a humorous manner.
On most days, we are actually rather serious.
Seriously?
Well,
Since
okay.
when?
Well, you do have to note, all 3 recordings so far have taken place at some point between 1:30 and 2:30 a.m.
That would be the hazard.
Of course, for you guys, we record these after. Seriously, Noah. Dude, if you're that tired, we're in your apartment. Go to bed.
It's a bit.
I think he's screwing around.
Yeah.
You think he's screwing around. You don't know that he's screwing around at this point.
Hey!
But basically we do these recordings, right after we do a D20 Star Wars game that we've been running for, 3 months now? 4?
Oh, God, has left the room.
Okay, actually, we need to go into that. We had a friend over. He's going back to college. He hasn't gamed with us in a while. When he played in our AD&D campaign with us, he made a character named Slurp. Oh God, which quickly then degraded to
God.
Oh God. Because at the time we were all in high school and 10 times more immature than we can get now.
We're more mature?
I think we downgraded with age, let's be honest at this point.
On some occasions, yes, but
Alright. Well,
to all of our credit, when we have to, we get serious.
fair enough. Now, before we dive into today's subject, obviously, we have to talk about the news that came out at the beginning of the month,
Uh-oh.
briefly, which is
Really? What's new?
the officially announced Dungeons & Dragons movie.
What?
Here we go
Okay.
again.
There we go.
Few sources.
No, snails!
I am using the source of comicbook.com,
Okay.
but there are a bunch of different sources. That apparently a press release was put out. The press release reads that Warner Brothers Picture and Hasbro's Allspark Pictures and Sweet Pea Entertainment are moving forward on a feature film franchise. Not just one, but a franchise. Based on Dungeons & Dragons, the world's most popular role-playing game. Hasbro's Brian Goldner, Stephen Davis, Courtney Sullivan, Alan Zeman of Sweet Pea Entertainment, and Roy Lee of the Lego Movie and How to Train Your Dragon are apparently attached as producers. And the script has been written by David Leslie Johnson, who did The Conjuring 2 and Wrath of the Titans.
That's not exactly something
That-
that causes
that-
me great
that-
hope.
The
2 poor sequels.
Oh, well, How to Train Your Dragon and Lego, that's not too bad. Ish.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but he wrote the script of Wrath of Titans.
Oh yeah, then there's
That's what I'm
that.
talking about.
which had its moments of decent content, but
Mostly due to Liam Neeson, let's be honest.
oh god, Liam Neeson is
Yeah, when
God.
when Zeus and Death go to work on the battlefield, you know.
Not only is it Liam Neeson, it's Liam Neeson and the same actor that played Voldemort as Hades.
Fair enough.
Let's be honest, you have two really good actors in that movie.
So, they said that they are very excited about bringing the world of Dungeons and Dragons to life on the big screen. And this is far and away the most well-known brand in fantasy, which is this genre that drives the most passionate film followings. D&D has endless creative possibilities, giving our filmmakers immense opportunities to delight and thrill both fans and moviegoers new to the property.
And therein lies the problem.
Yeah,
I
see-
mean, that's why sequels go awry, because the content isn't there to derive a narrative from, because D&D is such a free-form thing.
Yeah.
So it could be anything. It's the reason why the former franchise didn't do very well, and I didn't watch it.
I can remember watching the original, like, Jeremy
I know,
Irons one.
I was gonna say, I know Jeremy Irons was in it,
Jeremy
one of the
Irons.
Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
You know what?
Snails.
You know, like, and a lot of people will look at that role and go, you know, Jeremy, what were you doing? But then
You know what? Jeremy Irons did a good job with whatever he had there. He's a good actor.
he is.
And you know what? He just had a ball doing what he did best, playing a bad guy.
Well, and I basically look at it as how much of it was director choice, how much of it was the script he was given.
And
You
how
know?
much of it was him actually giving a crap?
Well, everyone is so fast to blame the actor, but because I've done theater and I've worked with actors and directors and everything, sometimes directors have their heads shoved so far up their rear ends.
I think ass is appropriate enough to say on this.
There are 7 words you cannot say on television.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't.
half of them now you can.
I didn't know.
so-
I didn't know directors were all licensed own donkeys. That's.
So, here's another paragraph that I didn't know about.
Oh, there's
And
a
this
new
is
paragraph.
quoted by Stephen Davis, the Executive Vice President and Chief Content Advisor of Hasbro Incorporated.
Uh-oh.
This is such an enormous opportunity to bring the rich fantasy setting of the Forgotten Realms to life. And together with the creative powerhouse of Warner Brothers, use movies to tell the stories that have enchanted passionate D&D fans for decades.
It's a Dritz movie!
There's a lot of options in
You
Forgotten
would
Realms.
hope. You would hope so. There's also the option of Elminster, and quite a few of Elaine Cunningham's works.
It's a Dritz movie.
It could also be an original story that just takes place in Faerun.
Yeah, fair.
Okay,
That's true.
my train of thought is simply this: if they have at least 1 or 2 background characters that just announces their like name and class, and they're just like weird things or whatever, you know, just like you take.
Are
like,
we making this Dungeons and Dragons the Deadpool movie?
Oh
no,
god, no.
No, what I'm meaning is like you take a whole bunch of D&D players, like from several groups from across the country, the Western world, where have you, and you bring them all together. More than likely, there's either going to be guys that are naming off of other guys, which I've done for characters and that, and then you'll just sometimes just have like weird character names or something like that, like Fluffy Mithkins or some kind of weird name or something like that. Where I would love just to have like some of those background conversations going, hi, I'm Fluffy Mithkins, I'm a fighter, you know, stuff like that.
Well,
We've all-
considering like some of the names have come off of your characters there, Noah.
Well,
We've all got the really odd named character.
Well,
Hell,
some are comedically named. Some are, you know, what you named one off a pencil, right?
Yeah.
Right, Noah.
Stadler.
And Crash, your was it orange juice container?
Oh, the pulp trick.
well,
So yeah, so there's
It's
some
more
interesting
clear.
sources where you can get
He's
names
pulp
from
free.
sometimes.
well, there's Smiley's got
That's a story and a half, Smiley,
Well,
and the
yeah.
fact that a lot of his names actually pattern Arn's former characters,
well,
either intentionally or unintentionally. I'm not entirely
yeah,
sure on that fact.
there was Sonny's monk character named Tavel Nelg, which is the Scotch Glenlivet backwards.
Right.
But then, of course, Smiley went and named a monk Lemlet.
Yeah, and then we go with, sometimes you get people who made characters with names you can't even pronounce.
I have the thief named Alanov Denamla.
Actually,
Because
I
I
was
made
thinking-
him at the time of the...
Actually, I was thinking Smiley's, what is it? Kevligtor.
Oh,
Kevgritor.
Kevgritor, spell loyal.
L-O. I can't resist that every time. I believe he got that one from a name generator, no less.
I got Penguin.
There you go.
Often gets called Penguin.
I also got a Pathfinder summoner name off a character generator. Togo Headfast.
Oh, right.
Togo Headfast.
Togo Headfast and Bullock.
I don't think I've partied with Togo.
He's a Pathfinder
It
character.
was-
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, he was a placement for the damn fear. Now that things escape my brain.
Gunslinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was temporary, and you haven't played in that campaign. So.
That's true. Yeah, I haven't had the time from work.
And then there are characters that you put an honest effort in naming a character, and nobody at the table can take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm forgetting my own character now. Nostros the Hunter.
Yeah.
Who everybody, insists on calling Nostrils.
If it means anything, I was calling him Nos.
Gotta go fast.
Energy drinks.
I never followed it up with Ferratu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Smiley might be following that one up with that other character. Nosferatu's odd.
Oh, God. And that actually can lead us right into tonight's subject. Actually, kind of really well.
Yeah.
Yay, segues.
Don't even need a segue. It's a
This
good
is
thing,
pod-
too, because those cause accidents.
Skin
Smiley,
airport.
this is a pod. Yeah.
You don't
It's
know
2
my
in
own
the
name.
morning.
It's 2 in the morning. Smiley's gone to bed.
Noah, this is a podcast. There is no screen wipes.
Just for those who were playing the home game, and that was 3 times he tried to figure out my name. Got it on the 3rd try.
Grab those pods. We're not supposed to be casting them. One for you, one for you, one for you.
No. Not yet.
Oh, you saving it for later, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Tonight's episode is going to focus mainly on the subject that we kind of touched upon in episode 2, which is individualizing your character. Turning it from a piece of paper, with numbers
a series
on
of
it and
stats,
letters, and
yeah.
a series of stats, to giving it a look, a personality, and something that individualizes itself not only in its own party, but in your group of characters, so that each character you look is different. So that you could look and be like, oh my gosh, in my binder I have 8 fighters, but all 8 of those fighters are completely different.
Yeah, I cover kind of how I play each character different in the player profile I've been working on for the last week and a half. And it's hard because after playing for 13 years, it's kind of what characters do I narrow down my 1.5-inch binder that is pretty much full of characters. And it's which ones do I talk about? And I kind of pulled like the ones I played most recently, and the ones that got regular play, like more than 1 or 2 sessions. And then I was gonna cover Caleb and do a bit on some other stuff, and it did raise that thought to me where it's like, wow, you've got all these different characters with all these different classes, and it does get difficult how you can play them different. Well, shit, you and I, Raul Partha, were talking about it while we were walking here tonight.
Yeah.
We were talking about how intricate it can get, making each of your characters different from another one. But there will always be little moments where, you know, the outside chemistry of the group will affect the character chemistry of the adventuring party.
Not only just personalities with just player characters, like take a look at it from a DM perspective as well. That you can take those personalities and everything for NPCs, villains, even side characters that help out. Heck, you can even personalize that one peasant guy who's just walking along the side of the street. Yeah.
Well, and it's a shame that he couldn't be there. Technically, the newest member of the group. He doesn't play in any of the main campaigns with us. He runs our Iron Kingdoms game. So I don't want to call him Rolly, but that's the first name that comes to mind.
Yeah.
He does like that character,
He
though.
does. But I think out of respect, I think we should call him Redgrave. Just because Rolly is Slav.
Well,
The character Rolly is a Slav, not the person who plays him.
well, it all depends on how he wants to be called, because, you know, there's the few characters he has played with us, Drake Terminon, and Crash's
Right,
version
and
of Iron
then
Kingdoms.
Gressic.
Gressic.
Gressic, yeah. Well, we'll call him Gressic for now. You know what I mean? You know, Gressic does a beautiful job at just flowing into the character. He'll change the voice, the accent, the mannerisms. Like it's almost like he's acting while sitting at the table. But it's almost like he's acting out the character almost as if he was like on stage or something.
Right.
And a few of us do that. I've done it for a few characters, Henry in particular.
Mhm.
I like to attempt playing the entire session in a Scottish accent.
I can't get into the voices, but I do mannerisms change. and
Yes.
things like
Yeah.
that change.
Yeah,
with
your
the way I
mannerisms
do it.
change.
Well, I
quite
think
a bit.
with voices, at least, it's a bit of a gamble where you have to be ready to commit to that voice when you're gonna do it. Because I know La Fortuna in the main game, it takes me a little bit to get into his voice and to
Yep.
keep it going throughout a
Yep.
session.
Yeah, especially with Noah, characters like Jangra, Weeb, things like that.
Gweeb's
yeah.
voice always changes per game because Gweeb is always different in every game.
And it's not
But,
just
yeah.
the voice, it's when you play Gweeb, your mannerisms change, the way you play changes, and it makes it a little bit more tricky to really get into that.
Of course, I do have some half-orcs with some deep voices. One of them necessary in the Pathfinder game because I play that as a tandem, where there's a pair, and the one voice distinguishes which characters I'm playing, because I've got a barbarian on one hand with a gruff voice, and then I got the soft-spoken paladin. And that's how anybody at the table
Yeah,
knows
so-
without me saying, this guy's talking and this guy's
Yeah.
talking.
It's not just voices and the way you talk. That's some of it, but the best way we can go about this is you start your game, you go, okay, you start making your character. Most games you roll your stats, you take your skills, feats, whatever system you're playing, and then the first thing you can do to start individualizing your character before you even finish the paper is his arms and armor, his weapons. That can individualize a character a lot.
Well, it's not even just that. Like race, age,
Yeah.
gender. Try and figure out where the person's coming from. If you're new to it and you're not ready to commit to a full backstory in that, leave it very open for interpretation. Or in fact, just say, hey, you're just a guy who's just looking for adventure, and build on that momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
see,
a lot of our characters have had
Yeah,
that, where
everybody
they build
usually
steam
wants
over
to be,
time and snowball up.
young, when you look at ages, because a lot of games have different stats and bonuses for ages, a lot of times
we can pull out some of the
oh yeah,
bonuses
well,
and kind of.
Right, that's
but
true
it's
enough.
not just the bonuses I want to talk about. What I want to talk about was
Lucky has currently left the table to acquire books. Books acquired.
yes, but what I wanted to speak about was you don't always have to make your character between a 20 to 40-year-old character
I've got.
or have a wizard who's old or venerable to get those intelligent bonuses.
But that is a benefit.
But that is a benefit. But then
But
look-
that's the mechanics angle where we're,
Yeah.
But
you're looking at
look at
trying to improve your character mechanics.
look no
wise.
further than me. Crash in elf years is young. I actually
Yeah.
get a negative to my wisdom.
He's actually young.
Young.
I thought.
I'm less than 230.
You gotta remember, he's an elf. They're
Jeez.
1,500
Well, yeah,
some
but
odd lifespan.
yeah, but
sometimes.
Lucky's like 415. He's technically like 420
But
something because of
if I
haste
wanted
and
the
other
big
spells,
stats,
but
I'd go up. I have 18 intelligence. I could go up further for my wisdom. Yes, I have 18 intelligence on paper. He's giving me a look. But the
That
point of it
is
is
another thing where you're not acting out the actual intelligence stat. Where
Yes.
certain characters have
Crash.
personality quirks. Like, what's your intelligence again?
the way I
Say at
built
the table.
Crash was he's a mage who never fully completed his mage training. So he's younger, he's still learning. A lot of his magic is destructive and aggressive.
a lot.
I've gotten better. So there's things like that, and then through living, the backstory with him is he lives on the streets. He got kicked out of the Mages Guild and he had to survive on the streets. That's why his second class is a thief. So it's things like that. Don't just be like, well, I want to play a wizard. Be like, well, you've got this character and you're a wizard. Well, why is this character a wizard? Why
Yeah.
does he practice magic?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the one thing that I find in certain tabletop role playing games that they try to get you to nail down your character right from the start.
Yeah.
But a lot of those details, like your race and class and certain elements, they end up combining to point you in a direction of where your character's gonna go.
Well,
Just for the means, it's like, why are you a thief? Why are you a wizard?
that was
What brings you to do this in life?
that was something that we encountered with Dexter when he first started playing. Was he'd come up with this great big grandiose idea of a character, but the problem is when you start as a level 1, you are the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that because
That's-
I've made characters like that where I figure them to be far more badass than
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
currently are.
Yeah. Well, that's where your character's based on, like, something
Yeah.
you've seen or something you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And the equivalent is going to be, like, a level 15 or some odd character.
Right. Yeah.
And you're
Right.
starting at base level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
for a
Lucky
really
Noah and Crash didn't start where Lucky Noah and Crash are now.
God. no.
yeah.
Although, when you look at Lucky's stats and his health and just the amount of magic gear he's got, he doesn't have much.
No, but that's another thing too. Play role-playing games for the immersion, for the enjoyment. Do not play them like you would play a video game. Get from point A to point B.
Get
Kill
all
as
the
much
gear.
and steal all the loot as you can.
Yeah.
You do not gain the full experience if you play it that
And-
way. I think everybody here would agree.
And reduce your expectations. Like, even DMs when they write, you gotta reduce your expectations, because with the free form of it all, you never know that one person at the table is going to take it an entirely different direction than you ever thought possible.
Yeah,
It's-
it's one of those situations of, when you start off, you've got the most basic gear available, and you're not gonna be almighty powerful. Heck, I've in my mod, Noah, I've killed you twice.
Yep.
I you know,
Oh,
like,
borderline anyways.
Technically,
Technically.
you killed him. He put himself in bad situations both those times.
He decided to separate himself from the group because he was like, I'm headstrong. I'm just, towards the mission.
Yeah.
He meets a group of 6 bandits. The monk decides to be honorable and picks a fight. Gets his butt handed to him.
Mhm.
Then you decided to try and talk a buffalo off the road.
Yeah, the bison.
The bison.
Yeah, you basically said, you should stay out of the way, and the bison. I'm like, what's the reaction roll to this? And it was low. Like, it was just, I ain't taking your BS any day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget.
You're a tiny human. Stay out of my way.
Yeah, there's other things too. Like, you gotta, and this is a thing too, you've gotta go, especially if you're the dungeon master, don't just expect your players to do this. Encourage them to think about backstories, to think about reasons for adventuring. Because the most overused and basic idea is money. And that only goes so far.
Although
I'm adventuring for the sake of adventuring, or I'm adventuring to get rich.
Well, it's a nice starting point to start off with.
But if you're
But
still
over
at 10th,
time,
if
you
you're
could
still at
develop
10th
something
level
better.
and your reason is money,
You're going to be bored.
You're no matter what class you are, you're a 10th level. You can build whatever.
you're
it
pretty
is
freaking
your-
rich.
Well, and by 10th level, if you're a fighter, you can build your stronghold. If you're a cleric, you can build your church. If you're a ranger, you can build your stronghold and gain your followers. Like it. There's.
Because if you think about it from from a character standpoint, as your character, by that time you've been through so much and you've got the money to just put your feet up, hire people to do things for you,
Exactly.
and get filthy rich off that. There's no need for you to go out anymore and fight giants and dragons and things that want to kill you.
Unless they start attacking your area.
But there's no reason to go out looking for it if your only reason to go out is still money.
Yeah,
Right.
you're rich, you're comfortable, you don't need the money.
And you have to think about certain classes too. Something like a paladin or a cleric, really their goal should not be money.
No, well, and it
It's not
actually
quite appropriate,
states especially for the paladin, like they're only allowed to keep something like 25% of any treasure they make. The rest of it is to be donated to a, I think it actually states non-for-profit group, not another player character.
Yeah.
So it
Lord,
can't-
give it to me.
Well, no. Like in that instance, I think it's allowed because it's like, this person's poor, they're looking to pick up this kind of gear. Oh, I've got this money, I haven't donated it yet. Here, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like a paladin can walk up to a cleric in the group and go, here's this, 6 giant bags of cash for your future church. Because then all of a sudden the cleric's like, oh my god, I'm swimming in cash. Woohoo!
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I don't think I've ever had a character quite with that motivation, with the possible exception of Clade, but he had other motivations going for him that were...
Oh, you mean the fact that he was a
Overriding.
psychopath?
Yeah, he was a psychopath, he liked power, he liked being able to torture and kill people.
Yeah,
Fun.
I've got Mooney where he was my first. Like he's just a standard fighter, but I'm playing him as the gun for hire mercenary. He's chaotic neutral. He basically is like, if the coin is good enough, he'll take the job. And when I've played him at the table, he's seedy.
But again, he's got his own backstory. He's got his reasons for being employed how he is. Money is not the main reason.
No,
This is just how he makes his money.
This is how he makes his money because this is what he's good at. He's a street kid.
And you might Yeah, and
grew
some
up
of
his
you,
entire life on the streets, you know, picking scraps from whatever people throw out. You know, like he grew up the really rough way, and to my knowledge, like his stats and
yeah.
weapon choices and things
There's
like that
another thing.
reflect that backstory.
people listening, don't get discouraged if you don't roll good. Don't think, oh well, this is not going to be a good character because I didn't roll good.
The stats don't make the character. It's how you play the character, and the dice rolls that are completely random
Yeah.
make the character. It's not the magic gear. It's not it's not the magic gear. It's not what your stats are. It's not how much health you have. It's not anything like that. It's how you decide to play the character.
And that's what's going to really work it for the long haul. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're looking at stats and items and all that minutia, maybe this isn't the game for you if you can't. And I'm not saying that to discourage people.
Cut it off. You play
Yeah.
All right, so another thing we can simply go into is, you know, the whole money can't be a option. Money can be an option, but for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just, I
it
wanna
has to be a
rich.
more clever take on it.
Noah can tell a story about he has a thief who likes money, but likes money for a reason. So why don't you tell us the backstory of Mr. Velcro?
Ah,
Oh God,
no.
Velcro.
Shit.
I thought of the name on a whim because I was making a halfling thief for an evil party, and I wanted a name that was kind of like I don't know, just like really good, but also kind of spot on for like just like a thief. And I just thought, okay, and I don't know, for some weird reason the idea of Velcro just popped in my head, and I'm just like, okay, well his first name's Vel and his last name's Crow, spelled Krow. And the only reason that money drives him is more along the lines of he wants to create not just any old thieves guild, but more like a mafioso kind of underground network, essentially. So that way he can kind of buy off the local authorities wherever he goes, and that he can always be recruiting, but the money is more something that he can help build his enterprise and like buy property and be able to just kind of expand his influence. Because you look at because the way he thinks is more along the lines of, you see nobles, you see lords who have their whole lands and everything like that. But the thing is, though, is that, yeah, they're there, but what about those peasants and those people on the street that are having to deal with taxes and stuff like that? Well, Velcro can work it out in a different angle. So I just thought, okay, like the first thing he actually ended up getting involved with was Smiley's paladin Fangrim. And they took over this whole...
Now, just to interject here, because I know how we mentioned it last time that evil is bad.
Mhm.
These two, Smiley and Noah, we're not playing evil for the sake of being evil. Fangrim, a tyrant.
Yeah.
He's a ruler who rules through fear because his god is evil.
And also, too, a thing that is really good, and Smiley will always argue this point, and I also agree with it, too, is that yeah, he's running an evil character, but that character believes what he's doing is actual good. Because through the actions of liberating an area, he liberated it from a different tyrant because people were being oppressed, but took it over in the name of his evil god to help out the general populace. And yeah, it's kind of a switching of banners. Evil is still there nonetheless, but it's
But
the way...
society is bullied. He didn't enslave the other race.
Yeah, no, he freed them and let them grow and flourish. With Velcro being there as well, like Velcro knew for a fact that one, he's not going to kowtow to a god in any way, shape, or form. He is money driven, but what he thought was, okay, I can work around it, As long as I just pay tithes, he leaves me the hell alone, and I throw him information every once in a while. And after working out that kind of deal, I also was able to get my own gambling den, and that's kind of where Velcro's family kind of started. And then over time, he's just kind of like been recruiting other thieves and other bad guys, quote unquote.
Muscles.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, muscle, people who are just good for counting money, people who are good at pickpocketing. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's how money is still an objective, but not the reason for living.
There's one class that the money is the reason for living. The bounty hunter.
Which can be found in Dragon Magazine.
But to be fair, they hunt people probably either because they're good at it or they're a little weird in the head and they enjoy it. That can be things for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, but that's the thing, like, the hunt is the means to the end. The bounty hunter is looking for the bounty hunter is looking for the cash reward at the end of said hunt. Mostly because then it's, oh, I've got money. I'm gonna then use that money to do this, which will then most likely wind up leading into his next hunt, which will give him more money.
But to be fair, couldn't the bounty hunter, also be in it for revenge?
I think a good example of that.
He wants to find a criminal, and by becoming a bounty hunter, he has the resources to more easily find said person.
A
Or-
player could.
Maybe he just enjoys the hunt more than the money he receives from it.
Yeah, true.
There are a lot of ways to go. You can go with like a justice angle where he doesn't feel that the regular channels of being a guard or catching criminals work, but he can do this and he can make money off it too, and bring criminals to justice.
I think in a weird backwards way. Like when you mentioned the whole like vengeance angle and like taking like a bounty hunter route. Can't even say that. Like for some weird reason, Princess Bride popped in my head, and I'm just thinking Inigo Montoya. Take that kind of an angle. I know he wasn't a bounty hunter; he was a thief of sorts ish.
No, he was a swordsman, a swashbuckler.
Yeah, but working in the employ of a thiefy kind of nature.
Yeah.
But a guy like that, you can
I just work for Massini to pay the bills.
yeah.
There you go. But another character that, from money flow that, drives their character somewhat, is an assassin. Like, everything's about contracts for them. But, if that's the end all be all to your character, you're just an assassin.
Yeah.
Which means one assassin wouldn't be any different from another, or one bounty hunter wouldn't be different from another. And like we just covered, there are different ways to go with that.
Right.
So besides for, reasons for adventuring, there are other things that individualize characters in the way they look. Just because you're playing, for example, an Elven Ranger, doesn't mean every Elven Ranger needs to look like Legolas.
Yeah, and surfing on shields, hitting every mark.
Well, considering source materials and
Noah has some issues with...
I think it's more than just me that has issues with it.
a lot of people have issues with Legolas. The whole thing with Mirkwood and the dark hair thing. It was a big issue with me because Legolas is a favorite character
But
for me.
Noah has issues with how the movies portray him as Mr. Perfect, and he just doesn't
I love the second movie of Hobbit just for the simple fact that he got his face punched in, it's just like he got into that little brawl, tumble, whatever thing, and then the guy kicked his ass, walked off, and you see him with a bloody nose. Like that made my day. Just thank you for at least not getting away from it unscathed.
See, I like Legolas. I like him being the superstar, but with anything that regards the Hobbit and the number of characters that, like Dante Hicks, weren't supposed to be there that day, it's kind of irritating, even though I can enjoy the movie.
Now, again,
still waiting for Tom Bombadil.
Never gonna see him.
but to be fair,
Better luck waiting for Godot.
to be fair, and again, not every Elven Ranger needs to be a Legolas. Doesn't need to have long, long flowing, golden hair and.
Lucky's the prime example. I think I actually have him written down where he has light brown hair. And I don't play him like Legolas at all. I play more, well, like I said, I think in the first episode, I play him very much more like Aragorn or a Dunedain.
Whereas Nostrum, also brown hair, gave him a gold cast to his skin, so he's unique looking even amongst other people. But the thing that drives him is he's very skeptical of civilization and the city. So he's kind of, even though he's a good guy, and he of course loves the wilds, it's like, city, good in theory, not so good in practice.
And right there, Lucky just made another perfect example. In the confines of a role-playing game, both Legolas and Aragorn are classified as rangers. Very different. While in Return of the King, he's more like a paladin, but...
They actually broke down the Fellowship of the Ring as D&D characters with a level and stats and gear and everything.
Yeah.
Aragorn goes from a ranger to a paladin with Anduril is classed as a Holy Avenger.
Which makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Although, in the game, a Holy Avenger does not control an army of the dead.
No, before you guys get that idea that we just mentioned Andriel and the Holy Avenger, yes. He's correct. Just because you have a Holy Avenger does not mean you can walk in a cave and summon an army of the dead.
Well, that was more of a personal thing and a dead of blood and everything.
Sure, that's more because of who he was rather than the sword.
There's lots going on there. There's the fact that there's elven blood in the Numenorian line, but he's not a half-elf the way half-elves are in D&D. And there are certain things where D&D wants to distance themselves because they kind of feel overshadowed by their source material there.
Even though, what's a level 2 ranger called? The Strider.
Yup.
That's true.
So, but again, so those are rangers and things like that. But it's not just that kind of stuff.
Monks, actually. Just the idea of, you think monk, you think kung fu, karate, hey, yeah, kind of thing. But, like, take a look, like, take a few steps back and look at a monk, and think like Friar Tuck, running around with a staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friar Tuck may not know kung fu, but he'll kick your ass.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, and he'll throw bees at you, too. Oh, that was the greatest Friar Tuck I've seen in a long time. Just walks in, throws a whole bunch of bees. Okay, you know what? That is a thing about like making your own character, is that characters can fight in a certain way, but if you can think of something clever and unique to your own character and do things like that, because like growing up watching any form of Robin Hood, and that Friar Tuck was always peaceful, passive, quote the Bible, do whatever. But like when he did his portrayal of Friar Tuck and he starts throwing bees into a room, that was brilliant, and it just shows that he's tough, he can do stuff. It's not just the passive Friar Tuck that you grew up with.
Well,
another thing too is with I ran it when I first started D&D. I ran my dwarf, and yeah, he was very stereotypical. But the thing is, though, is that he fought a little different. Like he ran around with the first thing he picked up in a campaign was a keg of beer, like giant barrel, and he one-handed it and walked around with it. He even hit people with it. And then later on down the road, he found a bucket, and it had full of whitewash. And as he's running around with it, it's nighttime. There's like an archer on like this area or something. He takes the whitewash, throws it at him, allows the archer to be hit extra at night because he's covered in whitewash. He's bright by the moonlight and that.
Bucket of whitewash, basically, you've lit up the person like the 4th of bloody July.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a good example too.
And then, like, later on down the road, I just thought, you know what? I have a bucket now. I can fill it full of stuff. So the next logical sense was to go to a stable and fill it full of turds. So.
Well, and actually, Noah, if we want to get into interesting characters with backstories, please tell us about Stadler and Brian. Or no, not Stadler and Brian. Einfeld and Brian.
However, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
As we were talking about the look of a character, but then, Noah touched on something else, which is, so you take your weapon proficiencies or your specialization or your weapon group feats, whatever game you are playing, and you think, well, I have this sword, so when I'm in combat, I'm going to pull up my sword and grab my shield and fight like that.
Sword and board.
There's nothing wrong with, or whatever weapon you're using. There's nothing wrong with using your weapon. It's there to use.
Unless it's a spetum.
But, Noah just touched on it.
It's a
Non-offensive things can be used as weapons, like kegs, bucket of whitewashes.
Don't be afraid to improvise.
Sonny, the eternal pacifist character.
Mm-hmm.
We got in a fight with the goblins, and I think I was running that kind of mini game.
Was that the one where we tried to burn down the gate?
No, this was the one where she played the mage that was the eternal pacifist and had no offensive spells.
Oh, right, because Smiley was running his half-dragon thing because we were playing Oriental Adventures.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And she's like, oh, we're fighting hobgoblins. I can't draw blood. But she casts Unseen Servant. Take that guy's club. Raise the club. Drop the club on the guy's head. Takes a couple points of damage. Pick up the club, drop the club. Pick up the club, drop the club. Basically, she killed a guy just doing that. Of course, God.
Killed, knocked out, or probably. Or was there...
No, I think his hit points hit 0.
Yeah, it's unconscious-ish. No, just the whole passivity of it, but anyways.
But again, and it doesn't just relate to, oh, well, I could pick this up and use it like that. You gotta think of it with wizards, too. You can't just think of, well, crap, I'm in a fight. Well, I'm gonna use my magic missiles and my ice storms and my fireballs and my lightning bolts.
Yeah, have fun.
Which are really, really useful.
But they're really,
awesome.
really high level
And
spells.
dangerous. No, fireball and lightning bolt are only 3rd level spells.
Yeah, which you get when you hit, what,
Yeah.
level 6?
5.
Okay, still.
Magic missiles are 1st level spell, though.
Yeah. Which does 1d4 for every 3 levels you gain.
Yeah, but if you've got Crash with +1 fingers of wind.
Yes, but Crash is also, what, like a 15th level mage now? 13th?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, so you're rolling, what, 5
Yeah,
d4s?
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now,
So
but what we're discussing is something Lucky's not going to like.
No.
Uh-oh.
It's pretty much a purely defensive spell, known as the Wall of Force.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, if you bring... You know what? No, I'm just going to go into the story. The main story group, there was some tension between the groups, so Oren decided for us to kind of do like a battle royale tournament.
Tension? Are you kidding me? It was a giant pissing contest of my guy could kill your guy, my guy could kill your guy.
Essentially. Anyway,
Teamwork, ladies and gentlemen. Teamwork.
Every now and then a good team needs to blow off steam, and that's what we did.
and knock off a few heads after being punch drunk.
We'll let Dexter and Connor tell
Oren
that story.
decided that he was going to take a little innocent, some pocket
Some
change,
banter.
essentially enough to buy some coffee and go, hey guys, I'm really getting sick of the table turning into my dude can take your dude. He did an out of story Coliseum style gladiator combat where we were finally able to, in a tournament style, put it to the test and go, well, let's put your money where your mouth is and back it up.
Right.
I humbly took second.
You beat everybody.
No, I took second.
No, you won. You just couldn't.
You
beat
won against
Oren.
us. You couldn't beat the champion character that Oren brought in.
No, I lost to Sonny.
Did?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Lucky and Crash got thrown into the ring together, and I had just hit the level where I had spells, and I had a spell that I was like, you know what, if I can get him in it, then I win. So I'm gonna try it. This was the wrong day.
You gentlemen can't
to
see
try
it, but no one just did the face palm to end the face palm. Now, the Wall of Force is a spell that essentially creates a full object.
It's a
You can
wall of
create a
impenetrable
dome.
force. You
You
can't
can
pass
create a
it.
dome, but the dome actually has a bottom to it.
Yeah, basically we call this the hamster ball of wind.
Because what I did was, as he said, he had something he wanted to try. He took his armor off and stood there and wanted to do a magical style roll.
Dude, you didn't even let me get my armor off. We got into the ring, I started taking my armor off, and you put me in the ball of force.
Actually, no, you did get your armor off because first I went in the corner and turned invisible.
Right.
God.
So you couldn't shoot me with
Right.
arrows.
No target there.
So I turned invisible, and then I proceeded to, as he finally got his armor off, to rematerialize myself. No, wait, I didn't need to rematerialize myself.
No, you
because
cast it
Wall
from the
of Force
darkness.
is not an offensive spell.
Right.
I wasn't physically targeting Lucky. I was targeting the area around Lucky.
Yeah.
And where he was standing, create essentially an invisible ball around him.
Mhm.
Like you see those giant, it's a giant hamster ball, things like that. So we
So-
put him in it.
So basically, then what followed was we did the math, and it was like, oh, the spell will last longer than I'll have air for.
So he figures,
Okay,
he'll go into an elven
I'm an
trance.
elf. Elves don't sleep. They only need to meditate for like 3 hours,
reverie.
and they're fine. So I went into a meditative state. Crash decides to roll said ball around the arena,
And
killing me.
to be honest, not just roll it. I cast fly on myself, stood on top of it while flying, and used my feet to run across the top of the ball.
Yeah, you basically log rolled me around the arena.
Until
Shades
he,
of Hector and Achilles here.
until he essentially
Yeah.
passed out from
Yeah.
suffocation.
Although, if we redid that now, and
It
I
would go
didn't
different.
do magic,
It would go different.
you'd be pretty screwed.
But that's not an example of
That's
you
you
know, fighting.
using a spell
That's
creatively.
me using
Yeah.
a non-offensive spell creatively in an offensive manner.
Sonny once upon a time asked me, what did I think was the most useless spell in the book?
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, at the time, I didn't have a high respect for wizards. I'd never made one. I'd never played one.
Mm-hmm.
And, they take a lot of XP to level. They're squishy as all hell.
Boo. Boo, Lucky. Boo.
Really, Noah?
I know.
Really?
Just antagonizing him now.
Anyway. But basically, I said to her, well, let's use erase. I soon regretted that decision.
Please do tell.
Oren threw. Well, first she used it in a bar, and as the bartender like picks up her bar tab and is turning around, she erased it, and he's like, "What?
I can't remember what you drank. That's why I wrote it down.
So she got off, free alcohol.
Yeah.
Then later on in that same adventure, we wound up going up against a wizard. The wizard pulls out a scroll. Sonny cast a race on the scroll, essentially making null and void any spell that was on that scroll. So there was, now mind you, the trade-off was wizard couldn't use it, but when we killed the wizard, we couldn't.
We weren't getting it
we
later
weren't
either.
getting the
It's not
scroll
loot.
with the spells on it afterwards. So it
Oh, Sonny used that on me too.
Well, to
He
be
erased
fa-
Fireball from my spellbook for like 6 months.
yeah, because you abused it.
Yeah. To be fair, like if the wizard had used said scroll, the way scrolls work, it'd still be blank.
Well, yes, but a lot of times a scroll can have more than one spell.
That's true.
Now, very true, very true. Now, we've covered wizards, we've covered melee class.
For the most part.
So, another giant misconception when creating a character such as a cleric is your only goal is to heal and buff and sometimes offensively, magic.
God no.
Let's let Noah explain how you can individualize a cleric.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, before I go anywhere with this, I do apologize for what I'm about to say, and hopefully this gets bleeped in the future. But I honestly hate the term heal. I really do, because that really kitty corners your role in a party. Because yeah, you heal and everything, but there's more stuff that you can do with that. Clerics, like running a cleric in that, one, you have a deity that you are praising and you're looking up to and everything. You all are given your abilities by this deity to go out and do good and spread the word of that deity. And just because, like, you don't have to. Okay, where am I going with this? It's just like you don't.
We may have opened up a can here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell I run clerics? It's just like there's just so much that wants to come out right now. Okay. When you're running a cleric in that, don't just generalize yourself as the de facto like healer of the group. Like when I run Noah actually has an 18 strength and a 17 wisdom. The reason why I gave him the 18 in strength was so that way he can actually defend himself and at least be somewhat of a decent fighter without actually being a fighter. He has that +1 to hit with strength and +2 to damage for a base 18. And he's also running around with a horseman's mace, which is like a one-handed mace, so that way he can carry a shield as well. So he still has the extra armor class and everything. So if and when he does run out of spells and that, he can actually still like attack and be an active party member in conflict. And it's not just like I know earlier I just said spreading the character's faith.
Another thing too, don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, go for it.
Rant. But another thing too is don't think of clerics as weak because they can't use pointy weapons.
Well, hell.
Oh look, I have a sword that can cut. Oh look, I have a hammer or mace that can literally bludgeon your face off.
Well, and actually, you're fighting a horde of undead.
Yeah.
You aren't hugging the paladin. You're hugging the cleric.
Yes.
Oh, good old turns.
Yeah. When Noah starts turning undead, again, Noah is the cleric of the luck goddess Kishi Joten, and I probably butchered that, but anytime he turns undead, he usually just yells "turn and burn," kind of like how you turn and burn during like Texas Hold'em and stuff like that.
Well, I'm looking through the AD&D Unearthed Arcana book, which has an expanded spell list for clerics. Pretty much. Well, let's see what we can find here. Oh, look. Level 3. Animate Dead. Death's Door. Flame Walk. Meld into Stone. That's kind of like a hide one, but it's like... All of a sudden, it basically gives the cleric a stealth
I think
component.
Noah had a thing he was going to say about the meld in the stone there.
No, not melting the stone. Just like what Death's Door allows you to do is allows you to actually speak with recently departed bodies and that, so you can actually gather information.
Oh, I thought that was literally the spell down near the bottom. This is literally called Speak with Dead.
There is Speak with Dead, and there's also... No, Death's Door, I think, allows you to bring someone back that's near dead. Okay,
Well,
I mixed
still. Number 7. Giant Insect.
Yes. I love that spell.
That's level 4.
You get like a praying mantis, you make it big in that, and it's just like Murray the Mantis running around slicing the crap out of people. It's great.
Another level 4 spell. Sticks to Snakes.
Yep.
Didn't you basically walk up to a tree, like a giant redwood, put your hand on it and say, stick to snake?
No, what I did was in a game that I was running, I had a cleric who was of the deity of Snake Man.
Okay.
Who is a Native American deity from Deities and Demigods. So, add a little flourish to it and that made, this giant redwood turn into a giant snake and took the party somewhere.
The ultimate cleric fear-all spell, in my opinion, at least that we've encountered so far, Flame Strike.
Oh, yeah.
You call forth a pillar of flame upon your opponents and just decimate everything. But when a
The heavens
cleric...
open up and unleash their holy vengeance of fire.
Yeah.
Level 6, you can animate inanimate objects.
Mhm.
You get Blade Barrier. You get Forbiddance. In 7th, you get Earthquake and Control Weather.
There's also other things that clerics are good at. Like, besides for healing and buffing. Like saving the party's ass via magical MacGuffin dreams.
Oh, yeah, augury. Why didn't we talk about augury right from the get-go? Do you know how many times...
Cast augury.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There's been...
Main campaign. Dexter uses the augury stone.
Because he just learned it.
Yeah. So Dexter uses augury because he's a paladin and they get clerical spells at a certain point. Noah casts augury. Orin casts augury. Didn't Slash have something that would do
now a
augury?
shaman. No, he's now a shaman.
He's now a shaman.
Yeah.
So
Once again, augury.
Again,
Yet again,
that will continue on
augury.
the story of auguries.
Yeah, we would have signs just to remind ourselves to cast augury. Now, I think the book defines it a little bit differently, but the thing is, the way we've always known it as, it's a kind of reset button where what we would do is we would cast augury and then continue playing for a set amount of time and kind of test the waters for situations like encounters and things like that. And then if things just went sideways, we clicked in the augury, went back to when we first do it. It's kind of like save stating when you're doing ROMs and emulators for video games.
Well, it's exactly what augury is in the English language. It's seeing the future. Except, technically, we play it, and of
And
course,
if we don't like what's going down,
Yeah.
we bail out.
yeah.
But there's also that percentage chance of it screwing up.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case and that happens, there are chances where that could happen. That's why we usually run 4 auguries, because at least one person can try and
Yeah.
prevent that from happening. Because if they all bugger, then we're just pretty much set with that timeline.
Right.
And the other thing is, too, if you get a cleric who's maybe got a sense of humor, maybe you got people in the party who are being dicks, you can you don't necessarily need to,
Disclose everything.
disclose everything to them. You could just, maybe Noah gives, Lucky a look, and Lucky goes to open a door, and there's really nothing behind that door, but he's like, you gonna open that door? and then open that door.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that many a time where it's just like, wait, did you just breathe in and out like 3 times in a row? Okay, hang on. All right. Oh, something bad happens. Okay, now just stop breathing for at least 30 seconds.
And
Okay.
usually the party will go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's and that's because we can, like, we know that Noah's just completely BSing because we were at the table for everything that happened.
Yeah. But it's fun to have the characters react in such a way
But
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's meta knowledge control though. Where you're saying,
Right.
I'm not going to act on knowledge that I should know.
Well, and like I'm actually looking at the augury spell, and it's like cleric casting augury spell seeks the divine. Looks like weather, but it's not. It's the WH weather. It's
Weather
WH
the weather.
Yes, exactly. An action.
Because English.
Yeah, in the immediate future. It says within 3 turns.
Which is like 3 hours, right?
No, 3 turns is like each turn is 10 rounds of combat.
Oh, okay.
And around is what, a minute?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like 30 rounds of combat.
So half hour.
No, yep. Speaking of combat, don't build a character who's purely built for combat, but don't build a character that's purely built for RP.
Oh god.
You've got to have a good mix. If you have a character whose only existence is to kick the crap out of things,
You're gonna have a
you
really
could be
boring
in an
time.
adventure where something like Noah's World of Trinity. There wasn't a lot involved in that. Were involved a crap ton of killing.
Yeah.
So if you're a character whose only existence and his only when you built him for the purpose of killing bad guys. You won't enjoy something like that. But
Right.
if you built your character purely for social, then combat will become boring to you. You need to have a mix and understand that this game does include both combat encounters and role-playing other
Yeah.
things.
Well, and then it will also depend on the dungeon master running the game. Some dungeon masters prefer more combat in our group, Cotter. Or and also
me.
that's also the mod that we were running. You're in the Underdark. There's not a lot of people to talk to.
Me.
Apparently there was a whole city that I
Except
had
for
to
the
sleep through
mercenary
because I had
city.
to go to work in the morning.
Me. I like combat.
Oh, that was when we played here.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we played
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
I like combat.
That was total mind screw. It's like
I don't want to talk
what?
about that
We're
night.
doing what now?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that night.
We found like this half sort of Menzo Baranzan kind of city-ish kind of thing, and then all of a sudden it's like New York at night, and everyone was just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And Noah, being the talky kind of guy, all of a sudden, "Oh, I'm going. Well, we've been fighting for a while. Hey guys, I'm just gonna crash. All right." And everyone, I wake up the next day and just like, "Hey, did you hear what happened last night?" "Oh no, what happened?" "I just woke up." He's just like, "Oh, we found a bar and everyone's like nice and everything." I'm just like, "Really?"
Yeah, it
It is a total mind screw.
You know, we were all planning. You know, oh, we gotta break in. Oh, we gotta, you know,
Not expecting
dig
that
a
at all.
tunnel with spoons and. You know, like,
Yeah.
But
Oh.
again, you gotta have a good mix in the character of both combat skills and roleplay knowledge, and the want to roleplay. Because if you don't want to roleplay and you just want to kill things, play a miniature war game.
Yeah.
Don't play
that's true.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Oh, I think one of our best RP maps. Actually, technically, we got 2 really good RP maps. Is yours, your World of Trinity, and
The Isle of Trinity.
the Isle of Trinity, and my world, which the realm.
Your realm is still being fleshed out.
Yes, I'm still writing it and everything, but we started playing it kind of
Where
as
we
the test
went
group.
through the Isle of Trinity,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
loved every minute of
Well,
it.
that's
Now,
that's
But
also a good
but
point.
the thing is, like, Crash, you've missed out on a lot of things.
mhm.
They've had like interactions with like young dragons. They've traveled for like 3 days almost across across the mainland where they've interacted in, basically what I designed to kind of be like the Erebor of my realm. It's the big dwarven city. They're bartering with mages and all this stuff. Like, a lot of it has been more RP than straight up combat.
I also have a monk in that game. His name is Hanzo.
Hanzo defends a bar. He also has, like, it's like every time I roll, a pilgrim on the encounter chart, Hanzo's working deals to get supplies for the bar of Cliff Nest, which is the group's base of operations.
I like how Hanzo has to fight other characters in the party to get the resources because everyone else is like, "Oh, what about the fortress and everything?" And it's just like, "Oh, I have a bar to
There
run."
are other parts of this fortress, Hanzo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a campaign which Robarth is in. Sure, I got spells, but I'm a Drider, and I use that for leverage and fear. It's like, I can use roleplay elements to accomplish my goals.
I'm a big spider guy.
I'm a big spider guy. I'm running right at you.
Ralph Partha walks into a general store in a town he's never been in, at least in the very beginning before they had, reputation in the land.
Pants
And
were soiled.
it's just, people go, "What is that thing? Get your knives and pitchforks, grab your torches, we're going on a monster hunt."
And also the climbing ability. It
The
gives
cli- the
great
cli-
opportunities for ambush. Oh, I'm going to walk in the door and wonk.
That did lead to some interesting combat, yeah. But then, of course, it's also led to some insanely funny moments, like the trap in the ceiling you weren't supposed to find.
Now, also those things too, like we talked about, individuality, but there are ways you can take things you like or from popular fiction and still get a chance to play around with that. Like, we were talking about Killer's Realm kind of gave me this idea with Lucky's current campaign is the swashbuckler in that game. His name is Dumas D'Artagnan. Alexander Dumas being the author of the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan being the protagonist. So, he's not D'Artagnan. But I've taken bits of the personality of D'Artagnan and the personality of Porthos and Athos and Aramis and created what you would think of a typical, swashbuckler. Yeah. But then you add bits of my own personality onto that, so he's not, I'm not playing another person's character. I've used a template and then created my own. You can do things like that.
Sometimes it's just like little elements, like, technically, I have a cleric, Shulong, and he's not your typical cleric, is he? He's, almost a subgenre of stereotype in being that
is this the guy?
He worships a war god, but it's a Chinese war god. So I work in a little Jackie Chan bit that used to be a joke, especially when I started, and the uncle's chant in that show, Yumo Guai Guai Fight Eat Sao, which basically translates as evil spirits, demons, and monsters go away. And that's his code for his turn and burn. It's like...
Well, you can use that for your turn and burn. You could use that for your
even
chant,
when he's casting,
you could use that for your prayer.
And on top of it, it's the fact that he's got that armor background, and he's dressed the nines. He's a huge, tanky-looking character, and it's like,
of course.
It's like the first thing somebody's gonna say when I look at it. I was like, "You're a fighter, right?" It's like, no.
Well, so you act like Uncle, but you look like Toru.
Well, I just think you're talking about Uncle, and it's just like, oh. Constantly smacking people in the head and going, "What?"
Well, I did push over a what was it? It was some kind of stall because one of my fellow PCs decided to say that she was afraid of somebody else in the party. It's like, oh, you're not afraid of me, little girl. You're gonna be afraid.
Oh dear.
Another thing that's really fun to do is actually have interesting dynamics within. Other players can maybe work on things together where they have their own dynamic. One of the best examples of that is actually Smiley and Slash. In real life, they
They're
are twin brothers. Not just brothers, twin brothers.
They're so fraternal. It's ridiculous. One is tall and lanky, and the other one is a tanking Hulk.
And we'll let the viewers decide, or the listeners decide at home, which is the tall one and which is the other one. So,
Now,
so which is the tall
it's a
one?
mystery.
Yeah, there you go. Slash and Smiley.
now, again, like we said, two of them are twin brothers in real life.
Yeah.
In the game, they have two half-orcs that are brothers, Hack and Slash.
Hack never saw a lot of playtime, but Slash stuck around.
Yeah, Slash.
Hack has his moments. Fire hot.
Yeah.
Purple fire hot.
What?
Purple fire hot.
Hat go on foot?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, Hack had the intelligence of like it was like a 4 or 5 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
So basically, we came up with the joke. Der hat go on foot.
Hack, stick your hand in the fire. It's not hot. Oh, Hack, stick your hand in the fire. No, it's hot. Change the fire color to purple. Hack, purple fire not hot. Oh, purple fire hot. But there you have an example of people thinking outside the box and creating characters that within their ongoing game have dynamics. Don't you and Cotter also have connected characters?
Do you have all the Carter?
3 monk brothers?
They aren't monks.
You know what I meant, though.
Yeah, the Tarity brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I have an
something you work-
illusionist, and I think he has a magic user or something.
There you go.
Yeah, it's something you work on with other people. That can be fun, but only if the other people are in on the joke. It's not fun if you create a character who's related to another person's character without them being in on the joke.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
I've seen a few times where two
That's-
players would kind of talk about creating characters, and then one will go, "Hey, let's make a collaboration." Like, okay, cool. And then the collaboration never really goes any further, or it just doesn't work out because either one person is for it and one person's like half in it and then doesn't really commit to it.
Yeah. Or the whole
You
control
both gotta
aspect
commit,
of it,
or
where
it's just
one
going to turn
person
into
controlling
issues
it.
at the table.
There's one. It wasn't really a collab. It's just their first campaign wound up being together, and they got thrown in the same jail cell. It was the first time I played Penguin at the table, and Noah was playing a character named Darwin.
Yeah, Darwin.
And
Darwin.
I can't remember. Did we cover this last week?
I think
Like
we
last
hinted
time?
to it, but we never really went into full detail.
It was like it. Oh no, I know why I think I covered it is because I covered at least my version of the story in the player profile.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's actually going to make the final cut once I edit everything together, but we'll see.
Well, hell, let's just add it in here now for a little
Might
bit.
as well. Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's a funny story.
Sunny was running this mod. She'd come up with this kind of like starter game idea where all the players have been arrested for some reason or another. They're thrown in this jail.
Oh! EQ!
Yeah! EQ, your little gnome assassin with the trident.
Oh, yeah. Hey, nobody suspects the gnome who wields the trident to secretly be the assassin.
You're very true.
He could just be a fisherman.
Uh-huh.
Cricket.
Anyway, so
Totally making a cricket sound.
for some reason, with all these other jail cells that were unoccupied, Penguin and Darwin got thrown in the same jail cell.
Oh man, the conversation was great. What are you in for? Jaywalking?
Yeah, she made your crime jaywalking. I can't remember what mine was.
No, I just said I was in for jaywalking.
Oh.
She never made it that.
Oh, okay.
That's what
she did.
happens when nobody fleshes things out. You can pull.
Yeah.
It's thread the needle time.
So basically, I look across the table at Noah, and Noah looks at me and he goes, you have that look. You have a plan? And I went, yeah, but I don't know if you're going to like it. And he goes, no, just go for it. Okay.
No, we both proposed on the same idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I asked you to hit me.
That's right. Reverse. You looked at me with that cockeyed grin, and I'm like, what are you planning? And he goes, hit me. And I look at the DM, and I look at him, and I'm going, what? Hit me. Okay, I punched Darwin in the face.
And Darwin begins to go, oh, my nose. Guard, you got me in here with a maniac. You gotta get me out of here, please. Come on, he's gonna kill me. I think he snuck in a shake or something.
Yeah, so essentially, 2 guards show up. One goes to lead Darwin off. The other one is, like, checking me for this apparent shank. And while he's checking out my, basically the pants area, I clock the guy in the head.
And I steal the crossbow from that guard that he knocked over. So now Darwin, who is not proficient with a crossbow, is holding that crossbow point.
Holding his other guard across.
Well, he doesn't have to know that. There's nothing that says he does know that.
Well, then all of a sudden, Penguin comes up from behind, holding the other crossbow.
Yeah.
And I think that was when the guard was like, "Wait a minute, you can't use one of those. You don't have the skills. Look how shaky your hands are." Then I pop up from behind him and go, "Oh yeah, I can now."
Yeah.
And that's basically when we locked the 2 guards in the same room. I think we bound and gagged them so they didn't make any noise.
No, we didn't, because we were getting information from him and everything. And Darwin was like tweaking out, pretending he was a complete maniac. He's just like, nobody move. Like, you ever see that scene in Pulp Fiction when the 2 thieves hold up the diner? When Bunny gets up on the table and she starts screaming and waving her gun, that was Darwin with a crossbow.
Oh boy.
And then right at the end, he just gives like the civilized, well, thank you very much and have a good day, and shuts the port thing and walks off.
It was gold.
I've had some good, more recent interactions with Darwin, with a very unique character of mine, who I actually was going to shy away from talking about because he's got a lot of journey to go and things to deal with.
The concept is one of a kind.
Oh, indeed. So starting out as a character who is essentially a wolf.
Oh, yeah.
And we got both Noah and Lucky at a table going, well, there must be something more than that. Must be more than a wolf. It's like,
oh, yeah.
There's no communication. There's no communication because he's a wolf. He doesn't talk. He makes gestures sometimes. And Noah doing something that he does often enough in certain of his characters, because even with all your character differences, your personality ends up coming through.
Yeah.
And ideas that you've done before, you'll do them again. They will get revisited. And he's trying to feed this wolf. Ringo, actually, I opened up the table to let them name the character because it's not the character's real name. It's like, you can name him what you want because he's sort of like a pet. So, Darwin's trying to engage this character, and he's feeding him food, and the thing is, this is, essentially, it's still a character, so it's still intelligent. And he's like, giving him this look like, are you serious? Are you trying to offend me? So, yeah, genuine good times with that.
Even at some point, we're having like full-on conversations where I'm just like reacting based on looks or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's just, and I think at some point I'm just like, you know a lot more than you're letting on, aren't you? And then he just kind of shrugs or kind of, winks or does something. And it's just like, okay, you are smarter than the average dog. All right.
And that's the other interesting thing when it comes to parties is people tend to think, oh, we're all a party, we're at a table. They assume the formalization of the party before the thing's going to start. But you've got that point where you can say, this is your first time meeting this character. How is that your character going to react to these characters? How
And
are they going to feel?
Neat things that can come out of this, like maybe you connect on a certain level, or maybe you learn to really hate somebody.
Prime example. When we did All Flesh Must Be Eaten, my first encounter ever meeting Raul Partha in person was we started the game. We had kind of moved into a little house just for the night. It happened to be the house that Raul Partha's character was kind of based in.
Yeah.
So he comes in through the door and is met with everyone else's character from the group pointing a shotgun, a rifle, a crossbow, a knife, a bow and arrow.
Yeah. Well,
something
to
at
be
this
fair-
guy going, "Who the
to be fair,
fuck
I had a
are you?"
hostage right off. Because Slash poked his head out the door and got a gun. It's like, you! Gun right to his head immediately. What are you doing in my house?
Okay, a little bit of backstory on this game. I try running All Flesh Must Be Eaten. Sometimes, and then I'll try and reset and try and redo it again.
This is usually a once-a-year occurrence, especially around Halloween.
Yeah, it's the game I try to run around Halloween and things like that. And I actually took Ral aside, and because it was his first time playing, and I said, okay, hey, listen, these guys are going to be in your house with all your stuff, and I'll tell you where all your hidden stuff is and everything, because it's going to blow the group's mind. And he said yeah, sure, okay. So, and I told him, well, here, for roleplay aspect, don't just give in right off the bat. Best example of just kind of bad
Create a
roleplaying.
Mexican standoff.
Yeah, but like a bad RP kind of thing. If you ever see the original Gamers where they're like, oh, you found a new magic user. Well, guys, you should roleplay this. Oh, I see your party is without a magic user. And then the other guys are just like, us, we are. You should join us. And it's just you meet this magic user outside the evil lair, and he's just hanging out. Red flags? No?
Yeah.
But anyways, I told Raul to try and not and resist. This is his place. And then the whole party was like, let's all point guns at him and force him into help joining. And it's just like, oh.
Okay, don't want to
He
die.
walks in, he grabs Slash's hostage because Slash was a little too close to it for comfort.
He opened the
And then
door.
it
Yeah.
was pretty much like you're envisioning.
Yeah, all guns
Who the
pointed on
hell
me.
are you? Who the hell are you? Where's so-and-so? Get out. This is my house.
Yeah,
And I
it was-
believe it was Smiley who was like, shh, this is my house now.
because Smiley had the hodgepodge.
Machine gun?
Yeah, he had the hodgepodge automatic.
The
and it was
redneck. Wasn't it called the redneck gun?
He had a redneck customized sniper rifle that was made up of a whole bunch of hodgepodge parts that's supposed to resemble an actual military rifle, but had a higher ammo capacity but a shorter range because this thing was a mess.
But essentially, at point blank range, he's turning you to Swiss cheese.